Well, hey guys, it's me, Steve. I'm back finally. It's been kind of a crazy few weeks. I haven't been able to get into the outdoors much. So there's a storm front moving in through the area where I live here in South Ogden. So I've decided to go for a day hike. I was going to go backpacking this weekend, but frankly I'm broke and there are a lot of things to do around here as far as hiking and camping. One reason I'm grateful to live where I do. Over here you have, businesses, noise. There's the pizza place Ashlin used to work at. And then out this way, there's a hiking trail right over there, and that's what we're taking today. It's a short trip. I don't know if you can see that, but there's the trailhead right in there. My camera's not cooperating very well through the window. Anyway, this is also my first solo venture. I don't have any company, as you can see. I'm in the expedition. It's literally a 3-minute drive from my house to this trailhead. The Bonneville Shoreline Trail intermittently stretches from the Idaho border all the way down to Nephi, Utah, which is about 280 miles. This is one small piece of it that just happens to be right by my house, all through the Ogden area here in Utah. The Bonneville Shoreline Trail runs along the east Wasatch Mountains. The Lake Bonneville was the original lake that covered those 280 miles. It was a huge, vast lake that now only exists as the Great Salt Lake, which is still big, but not nearly as big as it once was. So I'm going to do a series of these day hikes on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and I'm starting close to home with one of the smaller ones that goes down into the town of Uintah. So it's going to be a windy trip. The storm front is moving in right now. It's still blue skies, but I can see out there in the west that it's getting a bit dusty and cloudy, so we better get moving. So here's our trail up. It's actually a lot nicer than it started out already. I want to show you this view. That is South Weber. I don't know if you can hear me. That's South Weber and Uintah down there. I took a really nice picture last winter of that area from up here. I'll insert that in here right now. But here's our trail right below me. That's where we're headed. It's a lot less windy down here in the trees. Didn't take long for that trail to just melt into the tree line. So maybe you can hear me better now. Sure is beautiful though. I mean, for being in the city. Okay. So down there, this is Uintah, immediately in front of me. Off in the distance there is South Weber. That's where my wife was living when I met her, and I was living down in Salt Lake. Up on top there, you have Hill Air Force Base. So we get a lot of fighter jets doing practice runs several times a week, which sometimes makes it hard to even have a conversation, even in my own house, but I still love it here. It's just so beautiful and open. The people are friendly for the most part. I mean, people are a-holes everywhere you go, depending on who they are. but I lived most of my life in the Salt Lake Valley and was never really happy there. I had a good childhood, and my teenage years were good, but I never really felt like it was home. And when I moved up here 2 years ago, I felt like I fit. This was a good fit for me. The other thing is, in Salt Lake, you have probably a 20-minute drive from where I was living in Taylorsville to get to the nearest canyon. And as you can see around this corner, I live 5 minutes from the nearest canyon. In fact, several canyons right there. So, just a quick little tour here. I think this path will go down into Uintah. And then way out there you can see the Uintah Cemetery. I've hung out there a few times. It's very peaceful and quiet, right next to the railroad tracks. The South Ogden area, South Ogden, South Weber, all this area is kind of a well-kept secret. I didn't even know about it living here all my life. It's a beautiful place to live. Now, autumn is upon us. Today is September 27th, I believe. Yeah, 26th. Which always saddens me a bit. Summer's my favorite season. I love the outdoors, but I plan to challenge myself a bit this year and do some winter camping. I'm gonna have to... Oh, look at this. This is cool. Look at that ravine. I mentioned I have ADD. Anyway, I have depression issues, really, and I can't stand to stay in the house and just hibernate all winter. It really wreaks havoc with my depression. So I've made a commitment to myself to kind of challenge myself and get out here, not necessarily here, but outside, and try to push the envelope of my abilities, which are, as usual, amateur at best, but I enjoy it and I'm happy doing it. Staying in your comfort zone for too long can really be bad for your mental health and physical. So as I see the leaves start to dry out and fall, all of these oak leaves will be dropping soon, and there are leaves in my yard dropping. It makes me a little sad to see it go. I love fall, don't get me wrong, but the thing that will keep me going through all of that will be getting out and still continuing despite the elements. So let's carry on, shall we? I hope you can hear me. All that wind. It's kind of annoying, I know, but if you have a way to turn it off, let me know. Look at that. Well, as you can see, it looks like a bunch of rubble from something that used to be up here. There's the highway, Highway 89. And my trail is going right up to it and circling around, which means I want to go back and go down that Uintah way that I was talking about, because I want to go down into Uintah and see where those go. It's supposed to go right by the train tracks, so we've gone about as far as we can here without walking along the highway, and I really didn't come out here to do that. So we're gonna head back and go down that, turn off to Uintah and check that stuff out. made it back to where the trail splits. I'm just taking a breather in the shade while I do that. I'm gonna see how hot it is out here. Let's see. It says, make up your mind here, buddy. That is the wind, likely. Yeah, it's saying it's 40 degrees to 60 degrees. It's actually going to hit in the 80s today. So in the sun it feels like it. In the shade it's nice. The breeze is blowing. It's probably in the 70s. It's comfortable. I am the only person on this entire trail. Isn't that amazing? Now, while I'm sitting here, I figure I'll tell you a little story. Yesterday, I was out driving. I just recently got a job at a hospital. And I'm going to put it this way into the wind, so hopefully you can hear me. Let's just do that. I just got a job at a hospital, and I had to run an errand there to finish up some paperwork, and on my way back I was stopped at an intersection turning right and waited for the traffic to clear. Just as I started to go, a 7-year-old boy on a bike bolted out in front of me. I didn't even see him, and I hit him with my car, with my Expedition. It's not funny. I'm still kind of in shock from it. Thankfully, I had barely moved, and he was the one hauling ass down the hill that he was coming down. He hit the front end of my car and rolled underneath and rolled back out. He was scraped up. He was scared. He was crying. I jumped right out. I put my arms around him and hugged him and told him he was okay, and he kept saying he was sorry for he was apologizing to me, and I felt awful. Of course, Dylan and Jude, if you've seen in my other videos, I was pretty shaken up. My stepdaughter Madison was with me. She was crying. I immediately called 911. They showed up, checked him out. Paramedics, ambulance, police showed up. I was not cited because apparently the kids were supposed to stop, get off their bikes, and walk them across the street. And instead they were, well, I say they, his brother was with him a few yards back, didn't make it into the intersection. So when the kid came barreling down the hill, he was cruising. It's a steep hill, and he was just flying down the hill, and he saw that he had the light, so he didn't even hesitate. He just went right through, and that's when we hit. Most of the impact was him hitting my car. Fortunately, he's okay. It was a non-reportable accident. But it shook me up, and it really got me thinking, and I went home, and as soon as I was, the police let me leave the scene, and I knew he was okay. Cars can be replaced, money, who cares, but not a human life, especially a cute little boy like that guy. And I got home, and I just grabbed both of my little boys and hugged them tight, and I lost it. I bawled my eyes out. So that's the latest happening with me. You never know when you're just out doing routine things like this when something can go wrong. And amazingly, just some people just happened to be driving by who were nurses and EMTs. They jumped out and helped. Everyone did a great job comforting that little boy, and the cops were cool about everything. And accidents happen. Of course I should have looked right one more time, but he was coming so fast I didn't even know what I hit until he rolled out from under my car. If it hadn't been for my stepdaughter screaming first, I wouldn't have hit the brakes, but I did. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe all those people were there at the right time for the right reason. And the funny thing about this story is that I had a gut feeling that I should just stay home, that I should take the paperwork in to the hospital tomorrow, the next day. And I didn't listen to it. I just kept nagging at me. And even as I was driving to the hospital, I was telling my stepdaughter, I don't want to go. I don't want to be here. I just want to go home. I don't want to run these errands. I'm tired of it. And I couldn't figure it out. So I do believe in things like that. I believe something was telling me to stay home. I don't know if he still would have been hit if I hadn't been there, or if it would have been worse. I don't know. But it definitely made me appreciate what I've got. And somebody was looking out for me, and somebody was definitely looking out for that little boy. He got a scraped up arm. He had a little blood behind his ear. He was not wearing a bike helmet. If he had been, he definitely wouldn't have had that cut right above his ear. And he had some bruising on his face, some road rash. So everyone's okay now. I just have to be grateful for it. So that's my story this time. Don't take for granted the people who are around you, you love and care about, and be very careful when you're out there driving. Don't let your kids ride bikes without helmets. Teach them how to cross the street the right way. Pay attention when you're making a turn. I could go on and on, but the biggest lesson it was trust that gut instinct, and everything will be okay. You can avoid a lot of trouble if something inside you just says, you know, this isn't right. Then maybe it's time to stop and listen to that. So that's my story this time. Not a very happy one, but a happy ending. I guess I've rested enough. Staying nice and hydrated, and the trail is just over there. We're gonna walk down it into Uintah. And one thing we do have to be careful of in this area is rattlesnakes. It's dry, it's deserty, and it's a very real possibility. Somebody building a huge house over here. My question is, how much house do you really need? I know I only need enough to raise my family in, and then when they're all gone, and some of them are, I need a smaller house with more land, not a bigger house with tiny land. It's just my thing. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse. People and their money. It's like this probably goes, it's kind of a deer trail. Skinny little thing that goes right up the side of that hill. Our trail goes this way. What a beautiful day. It's like it used to be used for cars at one time. It's getting a lot of these tall reeds in here, like swamp type land, I guess. I know there's some water in here somewhere, but I don't know where. This is a lot more interesting terrain than I was on. That was getting kind of dry and desolate. Look at this. Somebody cut that tree down and put, looks like climbing pegs in it, except there's only one there, which is really just a piece of pipe, if you can see that. I don't know if someone's challenging themselves to climb or if that's something else. I don't know quite what to make of that. It's kind of weird. Anyway, let's continue on. Now we're getting further down into Uintah. As you can see, there are the train tracks in Uintah. Up closer to the Air Force Base is South Weber. Sorry if I'm being redundant, I'm just trying to be more specific. Wow, what a great shot. Love those little towns. Sounds like off in the distance, a train might be making its way down here. Which tracks? Can you imagine living that close to the train tracks? My dad did when he was a kid. Grew up in Price, Utah. A lot of trains and old houses. There it is. Barreling right through Uintah. Apparently I've pissed off some magpies too. Bastards. Hate magpies. Oh, that's some hill. Can't tell in the camera, but this gets a little steep right here. Look, somebody made somewhere to sit. So we've come down from up there. We're pretty much in Uintah now. Pretty close to the train tracks. I guess, I don't know if these people that live here are used to people hiking through here on this trail. I've seen a few footprints in the dirt. Obviously in the dirt, that's where footprints usually show up. But not many. And I would imagine if I lived down there, I would think if I saw some guy with a camouflage thing on his head and a backpack that walking along the train tracks, that he was some kind of drifter and he was coming to kill my whole family. Whoa, what do we got here? Look at this. Dang, coming back the other way. He will be heading up that canyon. That train track goes right up Weber Canyon, and God only knows where after that. It probably came from as far as California, because California is that way, that's west. Pretty cool. Kind of a mixture of nature and urban life. That's why I love it here. And if I need to get away from all of it, just right up that canyon right there. As well as several other canyons further to the north that way that you can't really see. But there are plenty of opportunities to get away here. I'm having the time of my life. I don't know about you guys. I'm having a blast. This feels good. At this point, I have two choices. I can continue following this trail all the way up and all the way up and over this way. This hillside is the highway leading up to my house, and I can go follow that and it'll come over this way and eventually meet the highway where it will dead end. And then you have to continue on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, you have to drive about 2 miles to the south this way and drive up into a neighborhood and find the trailhead, and you can hike from, if you're familiar with the area, which you may not be, from Layton to about Farmington, which is quite a hike, several miles, much longer than this one. And I'm going to do that one probably next. This cooler fall weather starts creeping in like it's supposed to tonight, and it'll give me more of an opportunity to get out and do day hikes where I don't get overheated. Still plan on doing some camping and hopefully some backpacking too. But in the meantime, I think what I'm gonna do is go back this way. There's a little trail right over here next to the tracks that goes along and ends near the cemetery. And then I think I'll take a break in the cemetery and chill there for a while before heading back home. So I think that's my plan. That was originally my plan, but I was kind of debating whether or not to go through with it, but I think I'm going to stick with it. So here we go. So there are the tracks. This is the road I'm going to follow. There's not any posted signs or anything. I think it's legit. We'll find out. I don't believe I'm trespassing. This is all Bonneville Shoreline Trail area. So, and that's another thing I should mention. Doing hikes like this are great, but don't trespass. Okay, guys. If I'm trespassing, I don't know it, and I'll probably find out. But really, just trying to do the right thing and have a good time out in the great outdoors. Here's our storm front moving in, sort of. You know, another thought just occurred to me. It's so quiet out here and I'm by myself. I really wish I'd brought my headphones. Anyway, I wish I had brought my headphones. I've got my phone and it's full of music and I can turn on the speaker and that's not a big deal. It uses more battery. But it sure would be nice to be listening to Bauhaus or Green Day or Everclear or Nirvana while looking at this. Or better yet, Jacob Dylan, one of my favorites. You want my opinion on music? Well, you're gonna get it even if you don't. The older I get, the more I appreciate acoustic stuff. I am a musician, so that seems to be where I'm leaning nowadays. Jacob Dylan, Seeing Things. Go get that album. It's amazing. It's one of my all-time favorites my entire life. It only came out, I'd say, 2009 maybe. Fantastic album. That's what comes to mind when I look at this. Just took a little rest here under this shady box elder tree. I hate those trees. They grow like weeds and you can't get rid of them. Anyway, just a little further down the road here to the cemetery. I forgot my son has an appointment today at 3. It is now 1:07 in the afternoon. Obviously not in the morning. Sometimes I wonder about what I say. Anyway, he's got that appointment at 3, which means I have to leave the house at 2:30 to take him there. And so I may have to get to this cemetery and call my wife and have her pick me up and take me back to my car. I don't have a problem hiking back. I'm having a great time. But I'm not sure if I have enough time to get back up there before it's time for him to get to that appointment. So we'll see how it goes. Just a little further up here, we'll be at the cemetery. Well, as you can see, I've made it. Hopefully that dog's on a chain. Anyway, we made it to the cemetery. It's beautiful and peaceful. Don't see anyone here. Unfortunately, my battery is dying, and I just bought 2 new batteries for this camera, but I failed to charge them or bring them with because I didn't think I'd be using it as much as I have been. So I'm gonna find a shady spot to sit and chill for a while and hopefully do a little more taping. How old am I? Before I have to call my wife and tell her to come get me. Look at this. Very, very profound words. I always thought I'd be the richest man alive. I just mixed up money with love. Good to know somebody figured it out. All right, here we are. All right, the Uintah Cemetery. I'm sitting up in the far corner of it in a nice shady tree, under a nice shady tree. Kind of an ugly one, but a shady one. My battery's almost dead, but I still have my cell phone, which has most of a charge. It takes pretty good video and pictures, so I might continue with that. I'm just gonna sit here for a while, get a drink, take a look at what's in my pack here. This is alcohol for my little alcohol stove, just in case I needed it. This is water to boil. This, of course, is my bladder tube. My water bladder is in here. This is by the way, this is a Swiss backpack. It's not a backpacking backpack, but I use it for that. It doesn't weigh much. It has tons of pockets, and everything I brought here probably weighs 15 pounds. So I didn't overload myself. There's my bladder in there, my cook pot, little stove. Inside my cook pot I have, this is my alcohol stove that I made myself out of 2 aluminum cans. Works really well. You put denatured alcohol into it and light it on fire, and it boils water, whatever you need it for quite some time. I'm not going to go into how I made it. You can find videos on YouTube on how to make these little guys. I made a couple of them. I haven't cooked on them out in the wild, out in the outdoors before. This isn't really the wild. It's more like the dead. But I have used it at home and tried it out. I was able to get the water boiling and cook some ramen noodles in it, which is also another really lightweight thing you can take backpacking, which is something I have with me. And just for backup, inside my pod I have fuel, and that is for this, my little pocket rocket. You may have seen that in my backpacking video up to Ruth Lake. If you want to look that one up, I go into detail about that. This was only $8, but it had to ship from China, so give or take. Anyway, this is the little support stove I have for my alcohol thing. It pops up and this rests on top, and then you put anyway, I'm not going into that right now. I'm not doing an educational video at the moment. As far as food goes, let me just dig in here. We have, that's my fire kit with all my fire lighting tools. I have ramen, always an easy one to make when you're backpacking. Homemade trail mix, I'm going to have some of this right now. There's pecans, peanuts, granola, chocolate chips, and raisins in there. And then the only other thing I brought was Pop-Tarts. Another very lightweight, easy to travel with food if you're backpacking, high calorie. The reason you want that is because you use so much energy out hiking and backpacking. People don't always think of that. When you go ultralight, this isn't ultralight, but if you go really light with backpacking especially, don't skimp on food and don't skimp on first aid or water. There's no water sources around here other than people's yards, and I have plenty with me still. Looks like I drank half a liter. This is a 2-liter bag. A little over half a liter. A little over a liter, I should say. A little over half a liter. Okay. I'm not doing my math very well. Anyway, my trusty bladder is still full of water, and I've got plenty of that. So I'm a ways away from home. I'm probably a 10-minute drive from home, but up those hills is where I came from. And to walk back is going to take me a good hour. And right now it's 1:25 and I need to leave in an hour. So looks like I am going to have to break down, unfortunately, and call my wife and have her come pick me up here in the cemetery. Hopefully she's home. She'll just have to take me back up with her car to the expedition. I was hoping to hike back, but I guess it's more of a day-long thing. I kind of took my time too. I wasn't in a rush. I wasn't going for miles. I was going for scenery and experience. So that's what I'm going to have to do. It's time to have some trail mix. I don't think I'm going to cook up the ramen. I'm not really that hungry. And hydrate myself really well and recuperate here under the shade of this tree and enjoy this incredible scenery. So I got hold of my wife. I think I woke her up. Oops. Not a good thing to do. But hey, it's Friday. So if she wants to relax some more later, she can without having to worry about going to work tomorrow. She's going to come and get me as soon as she shakes off the cobwebs. In the meantime, I'm just going to relax here and enjoy the peace and quiet before diving back into the chaos of the real world. So thanks for joining me this time. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, unlike, whatever you want, you know. But I appreciate you watching anyway. And if you have any suggestions of things you'd like to see, things you'd like me to, places you'd like me to go that are within reason, within Utah, hopefully, or reasonably close, let me know. Drop me a line. I'd be happy to entertain those ideas. So I guess that's it for this one. Thank you for joining me on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail from South Ogden down into Uintah, and we will see you next time. I don't want no aggravation when my train has left the station. If you're there or not, I may not even know. Have yourself another toke from my basket full of smoke. Let the train blow the whistle when I go. On my old guitar, sell tickets so someone can finally pick it. Tell the girls down at the Ritz I said hello. Have a round and remember things we did that weren't so tender. Let the train blow the whistle when I go. Let her blow, let her blow. Long and loud and hard and happy, let her blow. No regrets, all my debts will be paid when I get laid. Let the train blow the whistle when I go. You'll be left without excuses for the evils and abuses down to the day from years and years ago. Tell the gossipers and liars I will see them in the fire. Let the train blow the whistle when I go. Let her blow, let her blow. Long and loud and hard and happy, let her blow. No regrets, all my debts will be paid when I get laid. Let the train blow the whistle when I go. Let the train blow the whistle when I go. I didn't know that was still recording.